So when you multiply straight across, you get 8 over 28, right? And then you divide them. We said the biggest number was 4, right? So you divide them by 4. When I divide by 4, I get 2 over 7. Done, right? That's how you multiply fractions. It's a lot easier than adding fractions or subtracting fractions, right? Because you don't have to worry about common denominators or anything like that. Okay? So that's the multiplying part. The dividing part, the division part is very similar.
So what you have to do is you have to change the division sign to multiplication sign, and you have to flip-flop the 6 and 5.
There you go. Those are the steps. Those are the steps to divide. Three words to remember when you're dividing fractions. The first word is keep. Keep, that refers to the first fraction. The first fraction is 4/9. So 4/9 is going to stay 4/9. And just like Zach just said, the division changes. We're going to change, the next word is change. We're going to change division to multiplication. The last step is flip. What are we going to flip? We're going to flip the second fraction. So instead of 5/6, it's going to be 6 over 5. It's called the reciprocal. If I flip a fraction, or if I flip any number, it's always called a reciprocal. Okay, keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. It's called, another way of saying is multiply by the reciprocal. Multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay. Okay, so multiply straight across. Multiply straight across, I get 24. Now it becomes a multiplication problem like we did for the last one, right? Letter A, over 45. Okay. Can I reduce that? Because if I put it into Delta Math, or if I bubble in 24 over 45 and that's not reduced, I'm going to get it wrong. So can I reduce it?
You can reduce like both the numbers by dividing them by 3, then that would be like 8 over 15.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah. So how do you know? Like sometimes you're stuck, and how do you know? This is how you do it. This is a quick way of being able to figure out if I need to reduce. First thing, how do I make 4 multiplication wise? 2 and 2. How do I make 6? Okay. How do I make 9? How do I make 5? 5, just 5 and 1, right? That's the only way to make it. Now, do the top numbers share anything with the bottom numbers? Top numbers, bottom numbers. Do you see anything in common?
Minus 2, 2, minus 2, 3. Multiplied by each other.
Okay, but what number do they share in common? 3. That's all they share, right? They share a 3 and a 3. That's it. Guess what? That's the biggest number that goes into them. Okay? Most of the time you can do that in your head, but that's how you do it. So if you divide them both by 3, what's left is 8 and 15. So once you know what the biggest number is, then you just use your calculator. Okay? So if you're reducing numbers, that's the way I reduce them. Okay? Okay, so that's exactly the steps we're going to do. If you look here, that's the steps we're going to do. If we're multiplying, multiply spelled wrong, it should be an L there. Okay, multiply, there are 3 steps. Factor everything. Multiply straight across. Look for things to cancel out. Reduce. Division is exactly the same, except it has a step at the beginning. Keep, change, flip. right? Because we got to keep chain flip. Okay. Okay, so let's look at 2A. 2A. It's already multiplication. It's already multiplication, so we got to factor all. So what I mean by factor is this. How do we make 6? How do I factor tree 6? See, 2 and 3, right? How do I factor tree 4? Okay, how about 7? Yeah, just 7 and 1 and 3, same thing, right? Okay. So let's multiply straight across now. Step 2, multiply straight across. So we get 24. How many x's do I have on top? Put them all together, I'm going to get 6. Bottom, I get 21. 7 times 3 is 21. I got to reduce it. So how do I tell what I can reduce? Exactly the same way we did earlier. What's the number on top that they share on bottom? 3. 3 here and a 3 here. Only one of them. So divide them both by 3. 3 goes into 24 8 times. 3 goes into 21 7 times. So that's what I mean by factor the numerators and denominators. Okay. Letter B. Before we can do any type of factoring or any type of multiplying or any type of canceling out giant ones, we have to keep chain flip. So I'm going to rewrite it. So the first one stays the same. The sign changes to multiplication. And the second one flips. Okay. Once I do that, I can start on now step 2 for division. Step 2 for division says now factor all of them. All right, well, 7, it's just going to be 7 and 1. 6 is 3 and 2. 9 is 3 and 3. 5 is 5 and 1. Okay. Multiply straight across. 9 times 5 is 45. I have 6 total x's if I put them all together straight across. The bottom is 42. 7 times 6 is 42. Now I got to reduce them. Well, let's see. Looks like I had 3 on top and a 3 on bottom. That's they share. They also share a 1, but that's not going to do anything when division. When you divide by 1, that doesn't do anything. So I'm going to also divide these by 3. So 3 goes into 45. 15 times. 3 goes into 42. 14 times. Yep. Done. Okay. So do letter C on the inside or on the other side. If you folded it, it's on the inside. If you haven't folded it, turn it over. Okay, letter C. I want you to do letter C right now. I'll give you about 2-3 minutes to do that one. Okay, so it's division, so you got to keep change flip. Then I kind of factored tree, kind of 10 is 5 and 2, 8 is 4 and 2, 9 is 3 and 3, 5 is 5 and 1. Now multiply straight across. So I get 80 next to the 6. Bottom, 5 times 9 is 45. I noticed that They have, what do they share? 5. That's it. That's all they share, right? Is 5. So divide this by 5, divide that by 5. You get 16 over 6 over 9. 16x to the 6 divided by 9. Okay? That. The rest of them are the same exact steps. The only difference is they are not all monomials. Monomials mean one term. All of these guys were one term. Now, if you look at the bottom, you got some binomials, you got some trinomials. That's the only difference. And we know how to factor binomials and trinomials. It's in our notes. We've done it many, many times for months and months, and they're on the list, on the board. The steps are on the board. Okay, so when we do letter 3A or number 3A, we're going to do exact same steps. It's just going to look a little different because they're not monomials. They're binomials and trinomials. Okay, so this is a multiplication question. Multiplication. So the first step is factor everything. Factor numerators and denominators. So I'm going to highlight, I'm going to color code just so you can see it a little better. So we have the numerator here, the denominator here, the denominator there, and the numerator here. So I have 4 sections. I have to factor each of those. I'm not going to use the same set of rules because they're not all monos or binomials or trinomials. Some of them they're different, okay? So let's start with the yellow. Yellow on mine up here. The yellow is a trinomial. It's got 3 terms. So I look at my steps for trinomial. Factor out a GCF. Does the yellow have a GCF that I can divide everything by? What is it? Besides 1. Definitely 1, but anything else besides 1? The yellow. Just looking at the yellow right now. Can I divide it by anything else? A number, a letter, anything? Nope. So move on to the next step. The next step says ABC. So for the yellow, I'm going to do ABC. One, -5, -24. So what are the 2 numbers that multiply to be -24 and add -8 and +3? Yep. Multiply to be -24, add to be -5. So let's go back up here in the yellow spot. In its place, I'm going to write x minus 8 and x plus 3. That's the factored form. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same. I'm going to factor for the purple, pink part. Okay. That part is not a trinomial. This part down here is a binomial. So I got to follow those steps. Less steps, but still have steps. So set it equal to 0, skip that step, factor out a GCF. So does this guy have a GCF here? No, it doesn't. Besides 1, it doesn't. Okay. So the only other thing I can do is difference of squares. So is this guy here difference of squares? The answer is yes. How do I know? Well, there's 3 ways you know. First of all, it's got a squared. It's binomial, it's got a square. It's got a minus. And 9, isn't 9 on my list of perfect squares? Because it's what times what? 3 times 3. So when I factor that, it's going to be +3 and -3 because it's difference of squares. Okay, so now the pink is done. Now I'm to the green. X squared. That's not a trinomial. It's not a binomial. It's a monomial. It's one term. So the only way to factor that is just x times x. Okay. Now the part right below it, the blue part. Again, that's a binomial. This part right here is a binomial. So, does it have a GCF? Nope. Is it difference of squares? Nope. Doesn't have a squared, and 8 isn't on my list of perfect squares. So, I just rewrite it. It's already factored. Hard part is done. That's the heavy lifting part. Okay, so I factored everything. Number one, I factored everything. Step 2 says, for multiplying, says multiply straight across. And that's why I have quotations where it says multiply, because I'm not actually going to multiply. What I mean by multiply is move everything under the same fraction. Move everything with the same fraction. So the top. So the top I just put together on top. Bottom, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. So that's considered multiplying, even though I didn't really multiply. That's why I have parentheses or quotations around multiply, because you're not really doing it, but it is. It is considered multiplying. The last step, look for giant ones, things that simplify. Okay. So I have an x minus 8 here and an x minus 8 here. I have an x plus 3 here and an x plus 3 here. Can I do this? X and leave a minus 3 on the bottom? The answer is no. That shouldn't, that one, when you do that, that should not feel right. And there's a reason why. Because this guy's a lone wolf. It doesn't have a minus 10 or a minus 3 or a plus 6, right? It's just x. This guy isn't a lone wolf. It's part of a binomial. This is together. It's part of a pack. This guy isn't. So that's why we can't do that. Okay? So on top, you have x times x, which is x squared. On bottom, you have just x minus 3. That's all that's left on bottom. Done. Okay. All right. So let's look at, that was letter A. Let's look at letter B. The only difference between A and B in terms of what we do is this one's division. So the first thing I have to do is change it. Excuse me. Keep the first one. Keep the first fraction. Multiply, change the bottom. Okay. That's the first step for division. Keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction the way it was, change the multiplication, flip the second fraction. Okay. Now for division, it says factor all numerators and denominators. Okay, so let me color code mine. Okay, 4 parts. Start with the yellow. The yellow, binomial. Does it have a GCF? Does the yellow have a GCF? No, it does not. So, is it difference of squares? Yes, it is. The yellow is definitely difference of squares. So, it's going to be x plus something and x minus something. What is that something going to be? 7, because 7 times 7 makes 49. Okay.
Is there the same thing for cubes as well?
No. Yeah, cubes, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. They have a rule, but it's different. Yeah. Yeah, that's why we haven't talked about it, because it's different. Okay, so pink. Pink now. Again, still a binomial. GCF. Yeah, not numbers, but x's, right? How many x's can I take away from both? 3. They both have 3 to give. So that means x cubed is going to go down here. So if I take away 3 from the first guy, 3 powers, I'm left with 1 power plus. And if I take away 3 powers from the second guy, I take away everything. So that just leaves a 7 plus 7. Okay. Okay, green. Green is a monomial. 3 is just 3 times 1. So this one is just 3 times x. And then the last one right below it. The one right below it is kind of that aqua color. This guy right here is a trinomial. Is there any GCFs for this trinomial? No. So go to ABC. So let's do ABC. So negative 42 and negative 1. So what multiplies to be negative 42 and adds to be negative 1? There you go. Negative 7, positive 6. X minus 7, x plus 6. Good. Hard work is done. That's the heavy lifting there. Okay. The next step says multiply. In quotations, it says multiply. That means put them all under the same set of 2 separate fractions. You put them under the same one. Okay. So the top, I have an x plus 7 and an x minus 7, and then I have a 3 and I have an x. The bottom, I have an x to the 3rd power, I have an x plus 7, x minus 7, and an x plus 6. Okay. Last step, giant ones. There's one there. There's one there. Okay. So in terms of binomials, I have x plus 6 down here. That doesn't have, there's no x plus 6 on top, so I can't cancel that out. 3. 3, I have a 3 here. But what I do have in common are lone wolf x's. I got that one there and that one there. Those don't have any plus 3s or plus 6s or minus 3s or minus 6s, so we can cancel those out. So this guy's going to lose a power. This guy's going to lose a power. So no more x's on top, and instead of x to the 3rd power, it's x squared on the bottom. Okay. All right, so the next one is C, letter C on the other side. I want you to try that one on your own. That one's a you problem. You do that one on your own. I'll give you about 5 minutes or so. If you need more time, I'll give you more time. But I want you to try that one on your own. See how far you can get. And then we'll do the last one together. Okay, so do letter C right now. Follow the steps that we've done before. Follow the steps that are on the first sheet. See what you can do. Okay, so start with the yellow. Yellow is a binomial. So the yellow does not have any GCF besides 1. Okay, is it different to squares? Yes, it is. What does it break down to? We got a +6 and a -6, right? X plus 6 and X minus 6. Okay. Right below it, the pink, the purple color. That's a trinomial. That one does not have a GCF. So I got to do ABC with that one. So I'm going to do ABC with that guy right over here. I got 1, -11, +30. So I get +30 minus 11. What are the two numbers that multiply there? -6 and -5. Perfect. So I got a -6 and a -5. Good. The green was just like the last one, 3x. Happens to be the same kind of thing. It's not always going to be 3x, but that one just coincidence. Okay. Now the aqua color. The aqua color is a binomial, but this one does have a GCF. What can I divide both of these guys by? X to the second power, x squared. Good. So when I do that, what do I get left? Good, x plus 6. Okay. Heavy lifting done. Next thing, multiply. Put them all into the same power, or the same fraction. X plus 6, x minus 6, 3x, x minus 6, x minus 5, x squared, x plus 6. Giant ones. I got a +6 here and a +6 here. Got a -6 here and a -6 here. And what else do I have that I can also cancel out? The x, right? I have 1 power of here, which I could take away, and then I could take away a power here, so that just leaves 1, right? So on top, I just have a 3, and on bottom, I have an x, and an x minus 5. Done. Okay. So we got one more problem left. One more problem. It's the same steps. I'm not changing anything up on you. It's just got a little more meat to it. It's a little more thick. Okay. It's got some stuff that we're going to do the same steps, but it's just a little more to it. Okay. So the last one we'll do together. It's a fraction times a fraction. It's not different than the other problems. It's the same. We're just going to have to do a couple more steps than we did on the last ones. Okay, so I'm going to start. Okay, so let's start with the yellow. Binomial. Yellow is a binomial. Does it have a GCF? Yes, it does. What can I divide? First, number-wise. What can I divide it number-wise? 6, right? 6 and 6. Okay, so I have a 6 out in front. And then how many x's can I take away? 3 and x to the third power. So when I do that, 6 divided by 6 is 1. And then I take away 3 powers, I get x or 1x. Minus. 6 goes into 30, negative 30, negative 5 times. And I take away all of the powers, I have nothing left. Okay. Oops, I forgot to put x to the third power. Okay. Done with that one. Right below it, it's a trinomial. But what do I have to do before I do ABC for this for this guy here, for the pink one, purple? Yeah, divide everything by 6. Divide everything by 6. It's got a GCF. So when I divide it by 6, it becomes 6 on the outside, and then x squared minus 9x plus 20. Okay, so I put a 6 on the bottom. Now, the new part, after the GCF, I got to do ABC with those. Okay, so I'm going to do ABC with that guy here, over here. So A is 1, B is negative 9, C is positive 20. Okay. So what are the two numbers that multiply to be 20, add up to be negative 9? Negative 4, negative 5, good. So x minus 4, x minus 5. Check. That one's done. Okay. The next one I haven't done is the green. The green. Trinomial again. Does the green have a GCF? Nope. So I go right to ABC. So what do I get? 1, negative 5, and 4. Multiply to be 4, add to be negative 5. Multiplies to be 4, adds to be negative 5. There you go. Negative 4, negative 1. Good. There we go. Done with the green. The blue part, the aqua color right underneath the green. That's another trinomial. Can I go right to ABC? No. What do they all have that I can divide them all by? A regular x. Good. So when I divide it by all by x, I get x squared minus 8x plus 7. That's the part I'm going to do ABC with. Okay. Multiplies to be 7, adds to be negative 8. Negative 7, negative 1. Okay. Heavy lifting is done. That's the hardest part of this, is factoring everything. If you do that correctly, the rest of the steps are very easy because you're just looking for things that are the same. So multiply by writing everything down on the same fraction. So I have 6x to the third, x minus 5, x minus 4, x minus 1 on top. On bottom, I have a 6, x minus 4, x minus 5, another x, x minus 7, x minus 1. Look for things that cancel out. Let's see here. All right. X minus 5 and x minus 5, gone. X minus 4 and x minus 4, gone. X minus 1 and x minus 1, also gone. The sixes, yeah, the sixes on the outside. Look at the sixes on the outside here. They're both lone wolf sixes. So that means I can also do those too. They're not part of x plus 6 or x minus 6. They're just sixes on the outside. And then also one of the x's. They're lone wolves as well, right? This guy here. And then this guy's going to lose a power. So on top, I just get x squared. On bottom, I have x minus 7. A lot of stuff canceled out. Lots of stuff canceled out. Okay, so if you do factoring good, well, the rest of it's easy, or easier, I should say. Okay. All right. So somewhere in your row there should be tape. There should be tape somewhere in your row. Tape, pass it back or forward. If you're in the back, pass it forward. If you're in the front, pass it back. Wherever the tape is, tape's coming around. C. Which one's C? Right there. Okay. All right.